Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is one of those good show and tell episodes that I love to do. I found another box of my art books and things I had on sale in the store, so I've managed to bring that out, and I'm going to basically go through it with you and see what new things there are in there, and basically go over some of the the history and the background, the collectability of some of the books that are in there, and give you a quick look at some of the stuff that's in them. Okay. Yeah, I know you guys love seeing history and that kind of stuff, So, really good episode for that coming up, right? So, before I begin, I want to remind everyone to go down below and click like and click subscribe. YouTube has modified the algorithm so that basically any sort of interaction you do with this video really does help the algorithm. So, even just pressing the like button, pressing a comment saying, "Yeah, I really like that," do something like that, and it'll really help the video. Okay. If you want to actually support me financially, I do have the super thanks as well as the Patreon and PayPal links below. Again, I really appreciate any support that you people have. It really is very, very good. All right. So today's topic again is art books and Japanese books and that kind of stuff that we give. They publish for these different types of animes. And back in the days where we don't have the internet and that kind of stuff, we can't look up a lot of information, nor can we get information about an anime without actually getting these art books, because this is the closest way, if not the only way, to get any sort of official artwork, as well as any sort of interviews or any information, specifications and basically drawings. For the animes, right? So we can't get more in-depth background, more verification of things that we think there's happening in the anime, but we can't tell because obviously there's no official guide for that. So now here's the way you get it, right? So these books are very, very important to us at this time to get them. So let's we're going to go through some of them and just show you what kind of information that we're talking about when we're looking at these type of books. All right. And if there's if one of your favorite animes are in here, then maybe this is a good suggestion for an art book or whatever that you might want to pick up for your collection. All right. So, without further delay, let's begin. Okay, the next book is this one here. This is the Apocalypse of the Adolescence, or the Apocalypse of the Adolescent Apocalypse. Okay. And then it's the art book for Revolutionary Girl Utena, and this is made by New Type magazine. So because they did a lot of the nice posters and that kind of stuff for that, and so they built this really nice book, which puts all the different sort of artwork and that stuff in there. Okay, so starts with the gallery. Okay, so these are the nice very nice artwork covers. They're showing all the various different characters and that kind of stuff, different artwork and that kind of stuff showing, for that, various different characters. See, really beautiful artwork. So again, and this is really nice because at this time, trying to get some of this artwork without all the words written in there, like like the word New Type magazine or things like that. Backgrounds and that kind of stuff, it was really difficult to do. So now you have one that has all that stuff removed and nice and clean. So for example, here's the front cover right here, right? Instead of having all these words here and and let's just check behind this, for example, this kind of stuff here, right? Instead of having all the words and that kind of stuff there, you normally have to take out Photoshop and kind of edit that all out, right? But instead of having to do that, right? If you had a clean picture that already, that you could use as the model beforehand, like this one, okay, it's all clean. So now you can use that for, maybe we use it for our flyers that we use for the animation meetings and that kind of stuff and whatnot. The other thing that it's this section here called the conception. So this is how the artists and how they came up with the idea, how they designed the characters and that kind of stuff. So character sketches, the inspirations for how they do certain things, different focus on the characters. Now this is the focus on the actual backgrounds and that kind of stuff, and some of the machines like that. And see, this is the information which gets right into the actual what is about the thing. Again, you can't find this out because there's no internet, right? So these books are the way you find this kind of information out. So lots and lots of really nice pictures and that kind of stuff in the rest of the book for that. And again, here's the episode guide. So it basically tells you what episode does what. Okay. And this is really good and important because that you can't tell what happens in different things for that unless you have a book like this, right? So definitely the book for Utena. Okay, the next one is this big book here. Now this one was the book that was on the top of the comic books because it's so big. It doesn't fit anything, right? So I just kind of left it and leaned it on the very top. Okay, it is the illustrations of the King of Fighters, Zillion. Okay, so this is the new version of these King of Fighters, and the art was done by Andy Cito. So he's the guy who did a lot of that, things like Cyber Weapon Z and all that kind of stuff, right? So here you go. Okay, so this is again. I did take this to the San Diego Comic Con, and I got him to sign it right here. So that's my personal copy for that. But yeah, so you can see that these are kind of some of the covers that he did for that, and it's just beautiful. Like look at that. That's just excellent pictures of the main characters and that kind of stuff. Of course, the female characters and that stuff. See, just great artwork. They say large format too, so it makes it really easy to make it in a nice high resolution graphics and print from these things. Okay, so. And it's even nice about it is that some of this artwork is I said they don't really have a lot of this kind of artwork done up from SNK, right? Because they didn't have a per se a quote an animation series or whatever for this. So they really did a lot of work on creating different arts and that kind of stuff for this. So again, different arts that go either across the page, across or of course that. So a nice mix of regular artwork as well, like art design, painting kind of style, with some enhancements with CG or kind of Photoshop effects and layering and that kind of stuff. So really nice book for that, and really. It's really good because that it's completely sort of a nice collection of all the stuff that he did for the King of Fighters. Okay, the next book is this one right here. Now this is a nice hardcover book. Okay, it is the Mutsuni Imata's book for Utsunomiko. Okay, and so again. Really nice. You can see the really nice, fancy sort of pastel like for that. Anyway, so basically, yeah. So this is a nice art book which covers a lot of the anime. I think that's one of the covers, or no, I think that's an anime V. So you can see, different sort of very nice pastel like drawings and that kind of stuff that they have for that for the series. And it's just really nice art. I like his style because it's in many ways the same kind of watercolor style that Akimi Takada does, right? In the same kind of way. And yeah, it's very very popular across all the rest of the magazines. That made this kind of stuff for that. And again, so here's some the more anime artwork and that kind of stuff that they did. And again. The origins of sketches and that kind of stuff on this one. So really nice. Here's all the credits for where all where all the things were used from, right? From here, right? So for example, on page 60 and 61, it was from New Type magazine, right? And then so if you kind of go back to page 60, 61 here, you can see that this was the picture that they 60, 61, yeah. So these are the pictures that they used inside the New Type magazine. And so if you go back to those particular issues, you'll find them used in that. So it's really kind of neat that they have this kind of collection of stuff. Okay, so Utsunomiko. Okay, the next book is this one here. This is a book called Paradise Play. by Masahisa Suzuki. Okay, now he's the guy who does ARIEL. All right, so this is his actual art book for this. So, and so basically, you can just see what some of the various different different things that he does. Okay, I think he does a lot of stuff from like Dragon magazine, and those type of those type of more like a gaming type of shows, right? So see, so again, here's his images and that kind of stuff he did for ARIEL. Okay, I mean, really, it's a really nice sort of drawing stuff that they use for that for the cover. Okay, and it's just some of the so-called the concert footage and that kind of stuff of some of that stuff right here. A lot of mech and kind of parts cyber almost like cyberpunkish type of stuff that they did for that. And again, he also did a lot of work on starships. The mech design and that kind of stuff for some of the ships and that kind of stuff, characters. Okay, and so he has a section called the art of the novels. So this is some of the artwork that went inside the books that he did for. So again, some of the work is for things like ARIEL. This one's for like the manga Urahime. Okay, so again, really nice. It said really detailed, right? Because he likes to do that kind of multi-detail on the hair and that kind of stuff. So you can see that the same kind of design that he does there. So he likes to do that, and of course he even does things like machines like motorcycles. He even spends a lot of time, with the designs of that. Okay, so yeah, again, if you're interested in his kind of artwork, this is the book for you. So Masahisa Suzuki. Okay, the next one is this book here. This is the art book for the heroic legend of Arslan. Okay, and this is the original artwork by Amano. Okay, so the guy who does all the things like some of the design work for things like Final Fantasy, Vampire Hunter D, Angel's Egg, that kind of stuff, right? You can tell by the way that the hair and that kind of stuff is done in hair. So again, really, as I said, this was really popular. You can see very, 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 very Vampire Hunter D-ish type of kind of way that he likes to draw, that kind of stuff. Lots of use of watercolors and that kind of stuff. See, he likes that kind of. So there, see, yeah, you can see, that kind of light, a lot of light pencils with a gloss over, okay, light sketching, very in the way of extra design for that. So again, line artwork as well as nice, I said, even like comic stores like that. Kind of reminds me of, as I said, the predecessor for things like Berserk and all that stuff, and whatnot. Is can be treated that. See, so here's the stuff for Arslan. So again, a lot of the, so you can see that sort of design is the same way that he did a lot of for things like Vampire D, especially when mounted horses and that kind of stuff. Yeah. See. So yeah, if you're a big fan of that kind of work, then yeah, this is definitely a really great art book for that kind of stuff. So the heroic legend of Arslan. Okay, the next book is this one right here. All right, so this one is the Jump Anime Library Collection for Dragonball Z. All right, so again, this is a nice summary book for Dragonball, and right on. There's a nice some picture of like lots of that, and there's a Gogeta is on the back here. So again, so this book is put out by the manga company that Jump Shonen Jump Comics, right? And so they're the ones who made the book for this. So again, a lot of theater, lots of sort of kind of going through the different steps of the actual anime and whatnot. As it was showing, okay, so it's good because I said you know, when you're playing the VHS tape or whatever at this particular time, you know, you can't like hit a still frame of of the actual show and try to do anything with that graphic because the resolution is too small, right? I mean, we're talking, less than essentially VGA like resolution, right? So, we're at resolutions less than 640 by 480. So to take that and to do any sort of print design with that, that's just next to impossible, right? So that's why something like this, even when we go through the different anime, like scene by scene or whatever, it's extremely valuable because we can't get this kind of resolution with the an actual an actual like still frame from the machine, from tape, right? So this is very absolutely valuable. Again, how to draw this, the different various characters and from different angles and that kind of stuff, which is always really valuable for those people who are manga artists and that kind of stuff who want to learn how to do that kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah, just a really good coverage book of all the different sort of things having to do with that. There's even a little page here, which is the memorial special thing. These are all the little special things that you get, like merchandise, like posters and whatnot, that you can get for this particular thing. Right. So again, for those people who are actually looking to buy this kind of stuff, this kind of stuff, when you get this book, you go, hey, I didn't know they had this as a poster. Well, then I'm going to go and try to find out what it is and then try to order that, right? So it and of course, this is all the written information. Again, so even though you watched the anime, you had a good idea what sort of was going on. If you had any sort of kind of doubts or questions or whatever, then a lot of people like to check this kind of stuff out and find out more about that particular thing, right? And of course, the full list of staff, music in case you want to do karaoke. We got power, Dragon Ball. Yeah, right. We got power, Dragon Ball Z, right? Anyway, song and that kind of stuff, and of course, this part here is really good. At least some for someone like myself. This is where they put the advertisements. Okay, so these guys are telling you that or this company, right, that releases this book says, hey, we also make a book for Slam Dunk, and we also make a book for Marmalade Boy, or yeah, so hey, maybe you might be interested. Maybe you should kind of take this information down and take it back to the manufacturer, to your bookstore and say, hey, they got a book for Slam Dunk, which is 1,000 yen, and obviously it's made by this particular company right here, right? Here's a company, Shueisha, right? And you can go and order from them. Same thing here, like Marmalade Boy, 1,000 yen. Obviously, here's the address for Shueisha. Can you order this? Can you get it in? Let's go for it, right? So again, the Dragon Ball Z movie from the guys who make Jump Anime Library, right? Okay, hope you found that really interesting. And again, we're gonna, I know I've got tons of these, boxes. I mean, I probably have another 10 or 15 boxes at least of this stuff sitting in my storage that I have, left over from when I had the store and all this kind of stuff. So basically, I will be doing more of these things for you and go over some of the animes and some of the art books that they have that are really good for this time. Okay, so until next time, I will see you again.